Today's lesson is Should you listen to music while studying? Hi, everybody. I'm Roger.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're going to try to continue answering the question, should you listen to music while studying? Remember, we're going to be studying all our lives. Maybe some of you are still in school and you're still hitting the books every night to get good grades in school. But, of course, after you go to school, after you graduate, you're still going to be reading and learning things. So even if you're 15 or 50 or whatever age, you probably want to consider this question. Should you listen to music while you're learning something new, while you're studying? And last time we did try to answer this question. I guess the answer is, well, it depends, okay? It kind of depends on the situation, and it depends on the type of music you're listening to.
Absolutely. Now, we should, of course, say everyone is different, so if you find that you study really well listening to a certain style of music and it's not necessarily doctor recommended, well, that's fine. If that works for you, good. But the doctors at the Johns Hopkins Medical School, that famous medical school, I believe in Baltimore, right? Yep. Baltimore in the U.S., they were recommending a couple of styles. Classical music and lo-fi music comes with the scientific seal of approval, mainly because they both lack a fast and steady beat, and they don't have a lot of lyrics. So both of those things, the beat that gets you to tap your foot and the lyrics that get you to sing along to that favorite song of yours, those can definitely draw your attention away from that history or that math or whatever it is you're studying. So lo-fi music and classical music were recommended as certain styles. Now we're going to get into other kinds of music that might help you get your studying more efficient and more practical, and we're going to check out that in our next part of our article. So let's read through the first paragraph, and then we'll be back with more.
Although some kinds of music help with studying, other types can get in the way of your concentration. Songs with lyrics, especially in a language you understand, can distract your brain. For example, listening to music with lyrics while reading may force your brain to work harder in order to tune out the words in the song. Fast or loud music can also be a problem, as it may give you an energy boost but can also make you feel anxious or make it hard to sit still.
大家好，第一部分介绍名词 concentration， 它的意思是专注力或是集中。例如Lack of sleep can affect one's level of concentration. 睡眠不足会影响一个人的专注力。或者 The loud noise made Julie lose her concentration. 那个吵杂声让 Julie 无法专心。继续看到动词 distract， 表示使分心或是使转移注意力。例如 Don't let your phone distract you while driving. 别让手机在开车时分散你的注意力。或是Parents often use toys to distract their children during long car rides. 父母在长途搭车时常用玩具来分散孩子的注意力。接下来看到名词 boost， 它的意思是提升或是促进。例如 Amy received a boost of confidence after completing the training. 完成训练后 Amy 的自信心得到了提升。另外 boost 也可以当作动词使用。例如A variety of studies indicate that social connection can boost your energy levels. 各种研究指出社交连结可以提升你的活力值。或是 The government introduced plans to boost the adoption of electric vehicles. 该政府推出计划以促进电动车的使用。
Okay, it's time for us to talk about the first part of today's lesson. It begins by saying, although some kinds of music help with studying, other types can get in the way of your concentration. So remember, last time we said that classical music can help you with studying, and also lo-fi music can help you with studying. So yes, it is true that some kinds of music do help with studying, but other types can get in the way of your concentration. Now, if something gets in your way, they're blocking you. So if you're trying to walk down the sidewalk and somebody is standing there in the middle of the sidewalk looking at their phone, you might say, hey, you're in the way. Get out of the way. We need to get through here. And in this particular case, some types of music may actually get in the way of your concentration. It will stop you from concentrating. Concentration is when you're trying to focus on something and you're trying to tune out all the distractions that are around you.
Yeah, it's an obstacle, it's an obstruction, it's something that's making your life harder. So some kinds of music certainly can make concentration harder, make it harder for you to focus on what you're trying to study. Here's some examples. Songs with lyrics, songs with words, especially in a language you understand, can distract your brain. Yes, most definitely. There's singers, they're singing songs, they're wonderful words, they have different melodies for the verse and the chorus. All of that can distract your brain, and that's what you're trying to avoid, being distracted, or the noun form, a distraction. To be distracted or to get distracted is to have your attention taken away from what you're trying to attend to, from what you're trying to focus on. So it could be a noise in a room where you need it to be quiet. It could be something moving behind a person you're talking to, and there's like, what are you looking at? Why aren't you looking me in the eyes? Oh, I'm sorry, I was distracted by that man. He looks like he might want to try to cross the street against the red light, and I'm afraid he'll be in an accident or something. It's drawing my attention away from that conversation I'm trying to have. The noise is drawing my attention away from the book that I'm trying to read or something like that. So these can basically break your concentration and make it harder to study.
Right, so this, of course, happens especially if you're listening to a song that has lyrics you understand.
That's a good point. I guess if you listen to Portuguese pop music, assuming you don't speak Portuguese, that might not be so bad. So that's a good point.
I know a little Portuguese, so I probably wouldn't listen to that.
Serbian pop music.
Yeah, Serbian. I like to listen to Hindi music because I don't know a word of Hindi at all. And, of course, people from India really know how to produce some really catchy tunes.
I guess the problem is if you really get into the Hindi music, then you'll start to understand Hindi.
True.
And then you're going to have to pick something else.
Switch something else to Swahili or something like that. But in any case, yes, indeed, this happens, especially if you're listening to a song in which you can understand. Like for you, it would be Taiwanese or Mandarin or whatever.
Right.
And so, yes, you can get distracted that way. And yes, indeed, for example, listening to music with lyrics while reading may force your brain to work harder in order to tune out the words in the song. So you're trying to concentrate on something. Maybe you're trying to read about European history or something like that. It's written in English and in the background.
California.
Yeah, you've got the Eagles playing in the background, and you're thinking, oh, I want to listen to the lyrics of that song. Welcome to the Hotel California.
Napoleon was born in the Hotel California.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense, and you'll get distracted. You'll mix things up, and then when you take the test, you'll screw it up big time. You'll get a big F on that test. So, yeah, it will be harder to tune out the words. Here, to tune out just means to not be distracted by the sound of something. If you're walking on the sidewalk and you're trying to read your phone, of course, you're going to tune out all the sounds around you, like the sounds of traffic or of people walking past you. You just ignore all that sound and focus on what you're looking at on your phone or what you're listening to on your phone.
Now, here's another one you might want to avoid. Fast or loud music can also be a problem, as it may give you an energy boost, but can also make you feel anxious or make it hard to sit still. Yeah, so fast music, there we're talking about the rhythm, the beat of the music. So things like dance music or loud music as well. That could be dance music. That could be Roger's favorite heavy metal music or something like that. But for many people, it could be a problem. It's very fast. It's very loud. Now, this could be good for other things, exercising, cleaning your apartment, as it may give you an energy boost. So that's a good thing, right? Having an energy boost would be good, like having a cup of coffee or a little nap or something. Suddenly you have more energy. You feel physically strong. Your brain is working well. You find it easy to concentrate because you have a lot of mental power right at this moment. A boost is when we get a sudden shot of something, a sudden infusion of something. You might have a boost of energy, as we said, after having a Red Bull or a nap or something like that. You might get a boost to your spending, maybe at the end of the year. You might get a nice bonus from your boss, and that gives you a boost to your bank account, allowing you to buy that extra expensive thing or pay for that luxury holiday you'd been trying to get on. So a boost is just an extra amount of something. So you might get this energy boost. You might suddenly, I was feeling tired before, but after 20 minutes of Metallica, now I feel a lot of energy. I have that energy boost. But here's the bad side to maybe listening to fast or loud music. It can also make you feel anxious. It might make you feel nervous and worried. Sometimes that fast speed of the music or the loudness of the music, the wailing, screeching, singing, and guitars or something like that might make you anxious, make you nervous, make you feel stressed. And it also might make it hard to sit still, right? I mean, it's hard to study statistics when you're dancing around your bedroom. If that works for you, great. But for some people, there might just be a bit too much going on in their brain with all of this music playing while at the same time trying to study for their big accounting exam.
Okay, that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson for today. Let's listen now to the second part.
However, songs with lyrics or fast beats can still be useful. You just need to listen to them before a study session to benefit from what's known as the arousal and mood effect. Past studies have shown that a positive effect on performance can be achieved by doing anything enjoyable, not limited to listening to music, prior to hitting the books.
第二部分介绍名词 session 表示从事某活动的一段时间，可以说 My friends and I have decided to move our weekly gaming session to Saturday evenings. 我和朋友决定把每周的游戏时间改到周六晚上。再来我们看到名词 arousal 指的是唤起。举例来说 The loud noise caused immediate arousal of attention in the audience. 巨响立刻唤起了观众的注意。又或者说 Arousal of curiosity is important in early childhood education. 唤起好奇心在幼儿教育中非常重要。
Okay, so remember in the first part we said that listening to fast or loud music might be a bad thing because it will give you an energy boost and you'll feel anxious or it will be hard for you to sit still. But here it says, however, songs with lyrics or fast beats can still be useful, okay? Don't rule them out totally. They still may help you to some degree.
Okay.
You just need to listen to them before a study session to benefit from what's known as the arousal and mood effect. Okay, that's kind of interesting, so we need to think about this a little more deeply here. You need to listen to these songs before you start studying, okay? So listen to your Metallica songs beforehand or your Bob Dylan songs or whatever. Get all that stuff out of your system and then sit down to study, and there's some kind of scientific phenomenon known as the arousal and mood effect. So here we've got arousal. That's from the verb to arouse. That just means to cause a kind of feeling to rise. So you're trying to arouse feelings of excitement or whatever. I guess if you get really excited and you get it out of your system, then you can relax and study.
Very, very interesting. And there is actually science behind this. It says past studies, so this is scientific research and experiments and things that they've done before. So past studies have shown that a positive effect on performance can be achieved by doing anything enjoyable, not limited to listening to music prior to hitting the book. So in other words, before you sit down to study, do something you enjoy, do something that gives you energy, do something that gives your brain pleasure. Now, it could be listening to that fast music, banging your head along to some Metallica music or something, or it can just be maybe play 20 minutes of video games or something like that, something you really enjoy doing. That'll give you that mood arousal, that arousal and mood effect, that energy boost, in other words. And then once you turn the music off or shut the game down, then you can sit down to study and you will be in a better mood to do it with a bit of extra energy. So do this prior to or before hitting the books. Hitting the books is just a more of an American, a North American term for studying, right? What are you doing tonight? Oh, I'd love to go out, but I got to hit the books. I've got a big history exam tomorrow. In other words, I've got to study, probably while listening to classical or lo-fi music after listening to that fast music that I listened to before I actually got the books out.
And, of course, you can also hit the road if you're starting a journey or a trip, and you can hit the sack if you're going to bed.
I like to hit the hay.
Hit the hay, you can say that as well, indeed. Okay, but here we're hitting the books, and you're trying to figure out whether you want to listen to music during or before your study session. Okay, let's move on now to the third and final part of our lesson. We will listen first.
So, how should we use music when studying? Overall, slow, lyric-free tracks are best while doing your homework, but other songs could get you prepared beforehand. Ultimately, everyone's brain is different, so try different things and see what works for you. You might even find that silence is the best soundtrack of all.
第三部分看到副词 overall， 它表示总的来说或是总体上，可以说 Overall, the plan is good, but there are some problems with the details. 总体来说，那个计划很棒， 但细节有些问题。最后一个例子 The performance had some problems, but was successful overall. 演出虽然出现了一些问题，但整体来说还是成功的。
All right, we are back. So let's get into the final part of this very interesting article about how to choose the right music for your next study session. So it asks at the beginning of this paragraph, how should we use music when studying? We've learned a lot of interesting things about it. Music that scientists recommend you might want to listen to, other music that you might want to avoid, but also how you can listen to certain types of music that might not be good for studying, but are great for giving you an energy boost before you study. So, how do we put this all into practice? How do we actually use this at our next study session? It says, overall, slow, lyric-free tracks are best when doing your homework, but other songs could get you prepared beforehand. So yeah, that kind of condenses down everything that we've learned in this 2-day article to one good sentence. So overall, when we look at the big picture, when we take a step back, or in other words, to sort of summarize everything, to wrap everything up in a simple way. Slow lyric-free tracks, that would be our classical and our lo-fi music that we read about yesterday. Songs with a slower rhythm and with no words to distract you. These are best when doing your homework. So when you're actually hitting the books, try to listen to that type of music. But as we learned more today, other songs, those faster songs, those louder songs, they could get you prepared beforehand. I think this is true for a lot of things. I know a lot of athletes will listen to special music before they go out to play the game, right? To get them energized, to get them in the mood or something like that. But of course, if you're listening to music while you're playing the game, that will definitely be a distraction. So listen to that fast music or do those things that are very enjoyable to you beforehand. In other words, before you do something. So we often use this word, especially at the end of a sentence. I should have gone to the bathroom beforehand. Now it's the middle of the movie and I really have to pee. In other words, I should have gone before. It's kind of like using afterwards. We can also use after in the same way.
Afterwards. And of course, beforehand means before. This reminds me when I was younger. Yes, indeed, before I studied, I listened to some loud and obnoxious music like Aerosmith or Blue Oyster Cult or Crass or whatever. I listened to some of that music and, of course, I got it out of my system and then I could sit down and focus on the music. So I guess the answer to the question as to whether you can listen to music or not during study, well, again, it depends. You can listen to some types with the studying and some other types beforehand. And ultimately, or in the end, in the final conclusion or in the final analysis, everyone's brain is different, so try different things and see what works for you. So mix and match different kinds of music. Maybe jazz will work for you, the blues or whatever, classical, pop music or whatever, K-pop might do the trick for you. Yeah, you just need to experiment and see what works for you.
Yeah, I think that's a very good idea. And it says you might even find that silence is the best soundtrack of all. Absolutely. Libraries have been quiet places for much longer than we've had recorded music. And sometimes I kind of think that maybe looking at how people did things for a few thousand years before the internet and computers, that might offer a bit of guidance, a bit of wisdom. So yeah, maybe the old idea of just shh. That's the best way to do it. So go to a library, go to a quiet place, wear those earplugs if you don't mind wearing them. You might find or you might discover, or just, your own little experiments might show you, maybe just for you, but for you, quiet, silence, no noise, no music, no distractions. That is the best soundtrack of all. And of course, it's the cheapest and easiest soundtrack too. You don't need headphones. You don't have to pay for Spotify. You don't even need a radio. Just quiet is a good soundtrack. When we say soundtrack, we're often using music that accompanies other activities in the way that the music accompanies a film. And that's what a soundtrack is. It's the music that we hear as part of the film, both the music that's made for the film to sort of reflect the mood, but also any popular songs they might include in the film as well. The soundtrack of your life is what a lot of people sort of might be thinking or feeling or doing when they walk around with headphones on. It's kind of like you're in your own movie and this is the background music. Well, maybe if you're in a movie about someone studying, the best background music is no background music.
I wonder if some of our students out there are listening to background music as they listen to our program here. Who knows? It might help them memorize the information better. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. It's time now to listen to our Chinese teacher, Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分提到，带有歌词的歌曲，尤其是你听得懂的语言，会分散你的大脑注意力。那文中用到动词 distract， 表示使分心，使转移注意力。我们来学习它的字首字根。好 ，tract 这个字根它有拉、吸引、移动或者是拖的意思，像 tractor 表示牵引机、拖拉机。好，那么在 distract 这个字当中，字首 dis 表示偏离， tract 表示拉力。那把你的注意力拉走，偏离你原本专注的事物，这样应该可以联想到 distract 表示使分心、转移注意力。好，那顺便补充两个有相同字根的单字。第一个 extract， 它的字首 ex 表示向外， tract 有汲取、拔出的意思，合在一起 extract 就表示取出、拔出、萃取或截取。第二个补充的是 subtract， 它的字首 sub 表示分开， tract 表示抽。那当我们把东西分离，把一部分拿走、抽走，这样应该可以联想到 subtract 有扣除掉的语义。那么 subtract 就表示减去、减掉。好，课文第二部分有一句提到，你只需要在学习之前先听这些音乐，就能从所谓的唤起与情绪效应中受益。好，文中它用 before a study session 来表达在学习之前。那么 session 它是指说从事某活动的一段时间，它也有会期的意思。那我们这边介绍一下它的字根，看到 sess 或者是 sed 或是 sid 或是 side 这一类字根有 sit 就是做、就做的意思。那它们还带有保持在某种状态的含义。在 session 这个字当中， sess 表示做， ion 是名词字尾。那同学们就可以想想看，什么场合需要大家坐下来呢？通常就是开会集会的时候。那 session 这个字它就有会议、会期的意思，那也可以指从事某项活动的一段时间、一节的意思。这边也补充两个相同字根的单字。第一个补充possess， 它的字首 pos 表示具有掌控力， sess 表示做。那同学们也许就可以用坐拥掌控权去联想到 possess 它有支配、持有或拥有、占有的意思。好，那第二个补充的是 obsess， 它的字首 ob 表示对抗，字根 sess 表示做。那当某人事物它的魅力让你困坐着无法抵抗的时候，也许可以用这方式去联想到 obsess 这个动词它有着迷、迷住的意思。好，那以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾这些单字吧。
Concentration. Studying in a quiet place can make it easier to maintain your concentration. Distract. Jonas always gets distracted by his phone whenever we hang out together. Boost.The team's unexpected victory in last week's game has provided a big boost to their confidence. Session. After several sessions with her new tutor, Sandy started getting better scores on her math homework. Overall. Overall, the event was a major success in spite of the bad weather. Ultimately. Ultimately, trust is one of the key ingredients in any strong relationship.
Discussion Starter starts now!
Here's our discussion starter for today. The question is, do you like to listen to music while studying? Why or why not?
Well, I'll take our first answer. No, I don't generally listen to music while studying because I find it very distracting, and when I'm studying, especially my more complicated and difficult courses or lessons, I really need to focus 100% of my mental energy on what's on the page, and music can just take my mind off that.
Well, that makes sense, but for me, yes, I do like to listen to music while I'm studying. I find that music puts me in the right frame of mind for studying, for memorizing things, for writing out sentences or whatever. It's nice to have some music in the background. But of course, it depends on what kind of music it is. Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I am Mike.
See you next time.